You know how it is. You decide to tackle a seemingly small home improvement project, like adding an outdoor faucet. Seems simple, right? Quick, cheap. But then you get the bill, and whoa, it can be a real shock. Today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens.
So let's just dive right in. This is the question that gets so many of us. You're at the hardware store, you see a spigot, a hose bib for 20 bucks. But then the quote from a professional plumber comes back at $400, maybe even more. It just doesn't add up, right? So where is all that extra money actually going?
And here it is. This is the secret to the whole puzzle. The cost isn't really about that $20 fixture you can hold in your hand. No, you're paying for the hidden journey. All the work it takes to get water from your main supply line, snake it all the way through your walls, and get it to that new faucet. That journey, that's where the real work and the real cost is hiding.
Okay, so let's get into the first and honestly the biggest cost driver of them all, the actual path the plumbing has to take. This is all about the labor, the nitty-gritty work of getting a pipe from point A to point B.
So when a plumber looks at your project, they're basically seeing one of two scenarios. On the left, that's the dream, a simple tie-in. There's already a water line right there, maybe in a basement or a crawl space nearby. Easy. But more often than not, you're looking at the situation on the right, running a whole new water line. This means starting from way farther away, cutting and fitting new pipe, and that's where the hours and the dollars really start to add up.
And you can just imagine how that new line can get super complicated super fast. Every single one of these things adds time. I mean, think about it. Drilling through solid brick is a whole different beast than drilling through vinyl siding. Trying to fish pipes through finished drywall without making a huge mess, that takes serious skill. And if your plumber has to squeeze into a tiny, uncomfortable crawl space to do the work, well, that's going to affect the labor cost for sure. And that's not even counting the finish work of patching everything up and making it look good again.
But it's not just about the pipe's journey, right? The actual thing you're installing at the end of that journey, that matters a lot too. And trust me, when it comes to outdoor spigots, they are definitely not all created equal.
Now, this is a super important choice, especially if you live anywhere that gets cold. You can go with a standard bib. Sure, it's cheaper, but one good freeze and you could be looking at a burst pipe inside your wall and thousands of dollars in water damage. The frost-free bib, on the other hand, it costs more up front, but it's designed so the part that actually shuts off the water sits way back inside the warm part of your house. It's the classic example of paying a little more now to avoid a potential disaster later.
And look, it's almost never just the spigot. Your local plumbing codes are going to require other parts to make sure it's safe. Things like backflow preventers are absolutely critical. They're what stop gross water from your garden hose from getting sucked back into your clean drinking water. Yikes! And having a dedicated shutoff valve for that line is also just plain smart and often required. So don't think of these as little add-ons. They're essential pieces of a safe, professional job.
And speaking of codes, that brings us right to our third big factor, the official rules of the game. Anytime you're doing real modifications to your plumbing, you got to think about the permits and the local codes.
Yeah, depending on your town or city, adding a whole new water line is probably going to require a permit. Now, the permit fee itself might not be huge, but the process adds time. And more importantly, the work has to pass an official inspection. If the inspector shows up and something isn't done exactly to code, they'll make the plumber fix it and come back for another inspection. And that can mean delays and, you guessed it, more labor costs.
Okay, so we've gone through all the reasons this simple project gets so expensive. So what can you, the homeowner, actually do about it? How do you get a clear, accurate quote and avoid those awful surprises on the final bill?
If you want a quote you can actually trust, you got to give your plumber the right intel from the start. First, know exactly where you want it. That helps them figure out the distance. Tell them what your exterior wall is made of, brick, siding, stucco, so they know what they're up against. Make it clear if this is brand new or just a replacement. And definitely mention your climate so they know if a frost-free bib is a must. And finally, tell them what you'll use it for. A garden hose is one thing. A big irrigation system might have its own set of rules.
And when you get those quotes, and please always get more than one, this is what you're looking for. A real, professional quote won't just say, install spigot, $400. No way. It'll list the specific fixture they're using, all the valves and fittings, the finish work like sealing, and any permit fees. You have to ask, is everything included in this price? That's how you make sure you're actually comparing apples to apples between different plumbers.
So in the end, this whole story about the outdoor faucet, it's really a lesson that applies to almost any project you'll ever do on your house. So the next time you're getting ready to start something, just ask yourself this. What's the hidden journey here? What are all the steps beyond this shiny new thing I'm buying that are going to determine the real scope and the real cost of this job?